I'm Lori-Lydia Loveless, and welcome to another episode of Out of the Fog. We have a great show for you this evening. First, we have Kelly Butt, weather enthusiast and weather observer. Then we have President and CEO Rebecca Dutton with the Janeway Foundation. And we'll be right back after these messages. And welcome back. Today we're happy to have Kelly Butt, weather enthusiast, weather, guru, forecast extraordinaire with us today. And Kelly, thanks so much for being here with us.
Thanks for having me.
Oh, our pleasure. And of course, tell us a little bit about yourself and how you got into doing this.
Gotcha. So, I grew up in Grand Falls, Windsor. And I moved to St. John's, goodness, probably 20 years ago now or more. And I've always been interested in the weather. Ever since I was a child, I was always interested in storms, a calm day, and then, of course, the science behind it, how it happens, and, of course, the variability of it, too. Because we know here in Newfoundland, weather can change on a dime, and it certainly does. And also what sometimes these storms can produce. So, for example, like, a major snowstorm, thunderstorm, rain, you name it. Essentially, it almost kind of humbles you because there's nothing that we can control. And you can be kind of surprised by what it can do, the power of it, and, and basically and how it impacts everyone's lives. How we make do in a snowstorm or rain or whatever, and it just kind of went from there. And I've always enjoyed like I said, the science behind it, and the forecasting behind it, and kind of what's going to happen, and putting it all together.
And you must really like this because this is like a hobby for you in a sense. This isn't volunteer work for you.
100%. And I've been doing it for, I think, 14 or 15 years or so. Interested in it before that, but never actually got into it until, like I said, about 14 or 15 years ago. And it can be pretty time consuming sometimes, depending on what we have coming up in terms of weather-wise. Whether from forecasting it and putting it all together to observing it, and getting a summary at the end of kind of how it all went down.
So as you mentioned, the weather here in Newfoundland is so unpredictable. I know in my car I have like a parka, I have like snowshoes, heels and everything. And so how do you plan for, the upcoming weather systems that we get?
So it's twofold, right? So essentially there's the forecasting aspect of it. So essentially what you want to do is there's a multitude of different forecast models that, we all forecasters look at. Leading into an event, and every usually 6 or 12 hours, depending on the model, they'll update, and you look for trends, you look for what's going to happen as the days leading into a system. The other side of that too is also looking at, say, how a system performed in, say, the Maritimes or in the northeastern United States or eastern Canada prior to its arrival in Newfoundland and Labrador. So essentially, you want to look at how that model performs. So what's happening there, how the models handle that system, which ones did a better job of it, and you kind of gear towards that as the system gets closer and closer to the province to see how it's going to do. The tricky part about that sometimes which happens quite frequently, is you'll have a system approach the province from south of the island where it's over open oceans. There's not a lot of data to rely on, so you're kind of really relying heavily on the computer guidance as the system approaches the island, which sometimes can make for a lot of uncertainty in forecasts, even up to a few hours, before an event. So that's the forecasting aspect of it, and you put it all together and kind of devise what you think is going to happen for region by region by region, and you put it all together and deliver it. As for the actual event that's happening, you're looking at observing it. So I have multiple pieces of equipment for that. I have multiple weather stations, which I have in different parts of the province. One here in St. John's.
I was going to ask about resources and equipment that you use.
Yeah. So I've got the weather station in the east end of St. John's. I've got one in St. Mary's as well as one in Bishop's Falls. Now, pertaining to here in St. John's, now that's just, the weather station doesn't particularly measure snowfall or anything like that. So I do that all manually. So there are.
Oh, manually?
Yeah, I do it manually.
Wow.
So it's it's basically there's 3 components to it. Well, 2, 3 if you want to get really into it. You'll have a white or a light piece of plywood, a board. It's called a snowboard. I have a couple of those, but there's it's got to be flat and it's got to be light. And the reason for that is because you don't want the snowfall to melt on it when you're observing the snowfall as it happens. And you want a ruler. Any plain old ruler will do. Something that's a little longer will be more helpful, especially in bigger events. And basically what you want to do there is every hour I'll go out on the half hours to match up with the airport, say, if it's 7:30 or 8:30, 9:30, and so on, and match up with the airport and the rest of the country for that matter. And I'll take a snowfall measurement. You want to put your board in an open area where there's no drifts, things like that, for most accurate results. And you measure it every hour. After every 6 hours, I'll clear off the board. So that you don't have any snowfall compaction or anything like that, and continue until the end of the event until I finally tally it all. Now in the event, sometimes you'll have some changeover in precipitation to ice pellets, freezing rain, in which case I'll clear off the board to get a better accurate measurement. During and after the event, you may have, or some folks may have heard of snowfall water equivalent. No, the density of the snow. You go to shovel it, it's super heavy or really light. In most cases, a lot of cases here, it's really heavy. That's basically what happens. Is you have a tube. It's about 4 inches, or so it's about a foot, 15 centimeters, 20 centimeters tall, about maybe 4 or 5 inches wide. I forget the actual measurements, but and the snow falls in this tube, and you melt it down, and you pour it into a smaller gauge, and you get the water equivalent, and that's how you find out how much water is in the snow that's fallen. So essentially, that's what you have. So you have your how much snow has fallen, how much water is in it, and then you put it all together, and you put it out there so that folks know what your snowfall measurement is. So there's multiple parts to all of it, and once the event is done, it's nice to have a little break for a few days till the next one. So
I can only imagine. And Kelly, I've been following you for years. I won't lie, because your predictions and your forecasting is so accurate, I have to say. And I even have notifications on you, so when you tweet, I get up every morning. It's like, oh, Kelly's telling the weather. But your weather predictions are always so accurate, even to the hour. So does it take a long time to get to where you get to?
What do you mean? In terms of putting together a forecast?
Of course.
Yeah, it can take a while to put it all together. So essentially, you sit down and I'll look at different regions of the province, and I'm like, okay, I'm going to see when is this going to come in, what's the start time. I'll look at all the different models and put together as best a prediction as I can for different parts of the province, and put a start time there, precipitation type, precipitation amount. That sort of thing. And then once I have, I'll break it all down in different pieces, and then I'll put it all together and then put it, post it out. So it can be pretty time consuming sometimes to put it all together, for sure.
So I have to ask, have you ever had a wrong prediction?
More often than I like to admit. It does happen.
Yeah.
I always say predicting the future isn't easy.
No, I mean,
and especially here, it can be particularly challenging, especially this winter. This winter has been quite tricky. It seems like almost every system we've had this winter, there's a level of uncertainty with it. And even right up into the beginning of an event, it's uncertain what's going to fall to a certain degree until it actually gets much closer to the event.
So what's your favorite part about doing all of this?
The actual putting it all together. I quite enjoy trying to piece together a forecast or a prediction for different areas, specifically here in St. John's because I live here, but really for anywhere in the province, and putting it all together and seeing it unfold. Okay, now it's like I've got this forecast put together, I've got this prediction out there. Now let's watch it unfold and see how it pans out. If it pans out well, great. If it doesn't, I've been kind of fed a little humble pie, we'll say, which does happen, right? I mean, but then you learn from the experience and you go back and you try again and see where you went wrong and try to do better next time.
That's great. And of course, you have a great following, and you even text your weather predictions out. I don't make it easy. As soon as I see snow, I respond no, or a meme, of course. But
I'll send you a snowfall warning in July.
I don't know how I feel about that one.
Kidding.
That's great. And Kelly, thank you so much for coming on to the show today.
Awesome. Thank you so much for having me.
Our pleasure. And we'll be right back after these messages.
Your opinion matters, and we want to hear from you. Get in touch with us using our viewer feedback line, your direct connection to shaping the shows you love. It's easy. Just grab your phone, scan the QR code on your screen, and take our quick survey. Share your thoughts, and let's make your viewing experience even better.
And welcome back. So now we have with us Rebecca Dutton, who is the president and CEO of the Janeway Foundation. And of course, this is the 40th anniversary.
It is.
That's incredible. So can you tell us a little bit about that and about your specific role?
Yeah. So I'm leading the foundation, and we fundraise to support children's health in the province, specifically the Janeway. And the Janeway Foundation has been around for 40 years this June.
Wow.
And it's been 40 years of the Janeway Telethon and 40 years of generosity here in the province supporting our children's health.
So with the 40-year coming up and, the Janeway Telethon, so what can we expect this year for the Janeway Telethon?
So we're doing some sort of throwback videos. We're really looking at the last 40 years of the telethon, of miracle stories, of stories of care and impact that the Janeway's had, and that donor support has had on children's health in the province. So we're really reaching out, and that's part of why I'm here today, to the community. We know that there are so many photos of families presenting gifts on the Janeway Telethon, and we know there's so many VHS tapes out there in memory boxes of miracle stories from the 80s and 90s, and we would love for people to reach out to us and let us know if you have that, because we'd love to show those through social media and on the telethon, and we'd love to bring people back. We've been telling the stories and meeting families and meeting, children all grown up that owe their lives to the care that they received at the Janeway over the years. And we really want to make sure that we're kind of highlighting all of that over the years. We're going to continue to highlight the amazing stories that are happening today at the Janeway, of course, but we're trying to pack an awful lot into this 2 days because it's really important for us to tell that there's so many of us adults out there that received care at the Janeway 30 and 40 years ago, and it makes a big difference to us when we kind of think back about the impact that that's made on us.
Exactly. And so what types of files are you looking for? VHS, pictures?
Well, if it's digital, that's ideal. If there's a way you can make it digital, then you can go to our website, janewayfoundation.nf.ca, and there's a share your story page, and there's a way to upload all your files. So photos, feel free to take a picture of a picture. But if you want to reach out, if you have, absolutely anything that you think will work, or even if you can't watch it yourself, but it's there on a VHS tape, let us know, because we've got some pretty amazing technology and technical volunteers that'll help us figure out what's there and what's available and how we can make use of it.
And like you said, there's so many people that have their Janeway stories.
Absolutely.
So, getting their message out. And so how will that be distributed with the Janeway Foundation?
Yeah, so we're going to include as much as we can throughout telethon weekends, June 1st and 2nd. So we're going to include as much as we can throughout the weekend, but we're also going to put it on social media and leading up to the telethon and during telethon. We have, some letters going out in the mail, and you'll see some kind of throwback stories on those. And then, of course, people can share their own stories. So if you've got a story from 20, 30 years ago as a Janeway kid that you want to share on social media, tag us, and then that way we can reshare it, and we can even feel free to reach out to us that way to tell your story. We've got lots of amazing ones where there are we have some volunteers who were twins. I think they're 11 years old, 12 years old now, and they were miracle kids when they were in the NICU, and their father was also a miracle kid in the 80s.
Oh, wow.
And so the same NICU nurses cared for both family, or all three people in the family. And so it's really, there's some just incredible stories. We have nurses at the Janeway who were Janeway kids themselves and grew up and decided to give back that way. We have, we're profiling the story of an RNC constable who decided to become an RNC constable because the community supported him, the Janeway supported him so much, and now he's a father and a police officer and is giving back to the community in that way. And there's so many amazing stories, and it's really wonderful to show that. And then, of course, so much equipment and so much of the care that's available at the Janeway is because of the generosity of the people of the province. For the last 40 years, the people of Newfoundland and Labrador have been supporting the Janeway through thick and thin, through good times and bad. We've gone through a lot over the last 40 years. So, everything that's going on is, kind of regardless of what goes on, people have supported children's health care in our province.
That is so heartwarming. And of course, how has the care been provided for the Janeway changed over the years?
Oh my goodness. Well, anyone, I was 3 and split my head open and was stitched up at the Janeway. It's my earliest memory, actually. But anyone that was at sort of the old Janeway and has been at the Janeway in recent years, you can see the difference. I mean, technology around every corner, integrated operating rooms that, increase patient flow, communication, all those things. Virtual visits, so that people can stay where they are in the province and do follow-up care with their physicians. That's something that's new and spectacularly helpful, of course. But the technology is needed to make that happen. And then we have laparoscopic surgeries. So when minimally invasive surgeries can be completed and you heal faster, kids can get back to being kids much sooner, and then of course the family can return to their sort of regular lives much sooner. Kids don't go through this alone. It takes a whole village, of course, but it's a big burden on families when children are sick, and we know. So it's really important that we do everything we can to reduce the healing time and things like laparoscopic surgeries, but all of that requires the newest, the best equipment. There have been lots of changes in not just the healthcare provided, but lots of changes in medical challenges that we've seen over the years. We've seen an incredible increase over the last few years in mental health challenges, and trying to find new ways to deal with that and new approaches. We're also seeing physical changes in the hospital of, big differences in the last few years about the physical environment, or with the physical environment, because we know that when children are more comfortable and relaxed in their environment, when they sit down with their care provider, they're going to be more open to that care. When you have a 3-year-old that's throwing a tantrum, they're not open to whatever they're about to receive. But when you have a child that's been in a comfortable and fun waiting room, they're going to hop up on that table and play with the fish or do whatever it is and be open to the care that they're about to receive. Things are far more efficient healthcare providers are able to see more children throughout the day, everything flows better when just the environment in a children's hospital is more welcoming. So there's so many things that have changed over the years, and so much of that is because of the funding that's been provided by the community.
And having supportive donors is super efficient and important for this process. So you want to tell us about the impact that the donors have had on the healthcare for children?
Oh my gosh. Donors have given tens of millions of dollars to healthcare, and it is so vital. You know, we're very, very lucky to live in a country where our basic healthcare needs are being supported, but it doesn't cover those advancements. When we know better, we can do better. And when we have the ability to contribute to the causes that we care about in our community, that is something that we can do, and we can go above and beyond. And that's what charity and generosity is all about. So when we want better for our children and we want better for our communities, that's what we can do. So donors have done that. Donors have provided the advanced diagnostic equipment, and you know, our CT scanner is a perfect example. So a couple of years ago through the telethon, we raised the $3 million needed for a new CT scanner. And the difference between that and the old CT scanner is night and day. So previously it would take, you know, it might take a minute to complete a scan. Now it takes seconds.
Oh, wow.
So for a child, for a baby, say a 10-month-old baby, who is very wiggly and won't sit still, and you can't reason with a 10-month-old baby, of course. So you might need to sedate a baby, absolutely, to capture the appropriate scans so that you can diagnose and treat that child. It's necessary. And now we can complete those scans in fractions of that time, where you might not need to sedate that child. Everything is more efficient and effective. The images are clearer, and everything works better. You can get more children through that process. You can speed up diagnostic imaging procedures, and children receive better care. So that is exactly how these dollars go to work and help make our kids better.
And personally, myself, I volunteer every year at the Janeway Telethon. I love answering the phones. I've even had local celebrities call. So what are the dates of this year's telethon?
June 1st and 2nd. Yeah, it's a really fun weekend. It absolutely is. And we love to get people out to help. And if anyone wants to get their companies involved, we usually get people answering the phones from our donor companies. And there are lots of ways to get your company involved if you have colleagues and employees that want to be part of that and answer the phones.
Going like teams.
Yeah, exactly. And it's an amazing team building opportunity. Mm-hmm. So there are sponsorship opportunities to be part of that. And then, of course, there are so many ways for community groups to become involved. Over the years, we've seen a lot of changes in the way fundraising happens, of course. You can call in and make your donation. You can make your donation online now,
Texting.
very easy. You can text to donate. There are so many ways to support. But my mom used to do Jeans Day for the Janeway, and there's not quite as many Jeans Days for the Janeway anymore. So we've seen lots of changes over time, but why not have a throwback Jeans Day for the Janeway? Why not have an 80s themed potluck, because we're throwing back to 1985. So there are lots of fun ways to get your company and your community group engaged, because most companies and community groups have been engaged over the years, and lots of things have changed, particularly over the last couple of years. We've seen a lot of changes just because environments are different. So we really encourage everyone to get out there and do something to support our one and only children's hospital. And it's the children's hospital that touches all of our families and is there for my son and all of our children if anything were to happen. We've been there a few times, unfortunately, as I've been there as a Janeway mom, and I know how lucky we are to have it, and I know how lucky we are to have that kind of care here in our province.
And we can't thank you enough. Like I said, having the Janeway, for me personally and for my family, it's been a huge thing. And so what does it mean to be the president and CEO for you personally? This was always sort of my dream. I love working with generous people. And
I always say that this is the best job in the whole world because I do get to work with people who care all the time. And now getting to work with people who care about children and who care about health and who care about creating a healthier future for our province. That is, and it sounds a bit cheesy, but that is what I think is the most important thing. There is the only future we have are our children, and we need to make sure that they're healthier, and we need to make sure that they're set up for success, and we need to make sure that we're not creating a bigger burden for the future. And the only way to do that is to make sure that we're doing more in advance, more to support wellness initiatives, more to support, all of those things. Of course, we need to stop we need to do the surgeries and all those sort of acute care issues, but we do need to continue to support a healthier environment for children and a healthier, a sort of more well community. And that's what the Janeway does. And I couldn't be more honored to be in this role and to be able to work with the people that I get to work with every day.
That's incredible, and thank you so much for all that you do for the kids here in Newfoundland and for our province. So we thank you so much for being here today.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. We really appreciate this.
And we'll be right back after these messages.
Your opinion matters, and we want to hear from you. Get in touch with us using our viewer feedback line, your direct connection to shaping the shows you love. It's easy. Just grab your phone, scan the QR code on your screen, and take our quick survey. Share your thoughts, and let's make your viewing experience even better.
Thank you so much for tuning in to tonight's episode. And of course, we want to thank our guest, Kelly Butt. So if you're looking for the local forecast, you can follow him on social media and get text updates. And of course, we want to thank Rebecca Dutton with the Janeway Foundation. So don't forget to tune in to the Janeway Telethon this year, June 1st and 2nd, and donate to our kids. Until next time, much love.
This program is brought to you by Ignite TV. Now you're in command. Visit Rogers.com for more details.
We want to hear from you. Provide feedback on this show or find out how you can get involved. Call, email us, or scan the QR code to take our quick survey.
It's been a long time coming.
You don't win it to keep it, you win it to be a part of its history.
Always knew.
Always hard to see the difference between